In good news, earlier this month, the Defense Ministry announced that India's defense exports have reached an all-time high of rupees 13,399 crore this fiscal. And remember that the fiscal has still not ended. It also added that India now exports to 80 countries worldwide, and I'm talking about defense exports. The increase in defense exports stood at about 8 times of what it was around 6 years ago. The list of countries that India exported defense items included Italy, Sri Lanka, Russia, Maldives, Mauritius, Nepal, France, Egypt, Israel, Bhutan, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Ethiopia, Philippines, Poland, Spain, Chile, and even the US. It is interesting to note that India's defense export value in 2014 was a mere rupees 1,940 crore, which increased to 2059 crore in 2015-16 and so on. But there is also a bad news. The latest report by the Sweden-based Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, that is the SIPRI, that tracks defense spending trends, notes that India was the world's largest arms importer between 2018 and 2022, accounting for 11% of global imports. This despite the fact that the Narendra Modi government has really pushed for indigenization with heavy curtailment of defense imports. Sources in the defense establishment explained that India is in the initial stages of creating a defense ecosystem, and the import numbers will come down spread over the next 5 to 7 years, as it was the government's priority to encourage indigenization. So what is that India is exporting when we are the largest importer of defense systems? Close to 70% of the exports have been done by India's private sector, with the public sector now coming up and negotiating big ticket deals from BrahMos to fighter jets and helicopters. The Narendra Modi government had in 2020 set an ambitious target of rupees 35,000 crore, that is 5 billion, export in aerospace and defense goods and services for the next 5 years, that is till 2025. This is part of the turnover of rupees 1.75 lakh crore, that is 25 billion, in defense manufacturing by 2025 that the government is aiming to achieve. While India exports several items to about 80 countries as per government data, majority of that is in the aerospace sector, where the Indian firms have been manufacturing several parts, including fuselage and critical components for foreign companies. For example, earlier this month, American aviation giant Lockheed Martin has placed an order for 29 fighter wing shipsets with the option of producing additional shipsets with deliveries starting in 2025. These wings are intended for the F-16 Block 70/72 jets that would be delivered to the US facility in Greenville, South Carolina for inclusion into the final production assembly line. These would be made by the Tatas. Besides that, all fuselages of American attack helicopter Apaches sold across the world are now made in India by a joint venture between Boeing and Tata. And so are the fuselages of the S-92 helicopters of the Sikorsky are now made in India. Remember that the S-92s are not sold in India or are not in use by the Indian military. Similarly, companies like Adani Defense and Lohia Group are making fuselages for several Israeli drones. But then Indian companies are making and exporting several components for systems that are assembled by foreign companies elsewhere but sourced from India. Government data shows that the major defense equipment exported during the last 5 years include weapon simulators, tear gas launcher, torpedo loading mechanism, alarm monitoring and control, night vision, monocular and binocular, lightweight torpedo, fire and control systems, armored protection vehicle, weapon locating radars, HF radio, coastal surveillance radar, among many others. Major defense items like the BrahMos sale to Philippines, to mounted artillery systems to Armenia are not mentioned because the actual delivery is yet to start. Interestingly, the SIPRI, as I mentioned earlier, data on international arms transfer trends show that roughly 50% of India's defense exports from 2017 to 2021 were to Myanmar, followed by Sri Lanka at 25% and Armenia at 11% in terms of value. The exports to Myanmar include the 122mm barrels, boosters, detonating caps, igniters and electronic detonators, besides day and night optical sights for assault rifles. Sources said that the defense exports to Sri Lanka included almost the same besides certain kind of ammunition. Besides mounted artillery, the export to Armenia included Pinaka multi-barrel rocket launchers, Konkurs anti-tank guided missiles, and a wide variety of ammunition including the 80 mortars. Sources explained that a number of steps have been taken to push defense exports. The big change that has helped in the exports, especially that of munitions, is that the special chemical organisms, materials, equipment and technologies, that is a SCOMET category 6, titled the munition list that was reserved, has been populated. This meant that the Director General of Foreign Trade, that the DGFT, delegated his authority and notified Department of Defense Production, that is a DDP, as a licensing authority for export items in the category 6 of SCOMET. The export of items specified in category 6, that is a munition list, except certain restricted items, is now governed by the standard operating procedure issued by the Department of Defense Production. Also, a completely end-to-end online portal for receiving and processing export authorization permission has been developed, where the applications submitted are digitally signed and the authorization also issued digitally at a faster pace. In repeat orders of the same product to the same entity, consultation process has been done away with and permission is issued immediately. For the repeat order of the same product to a different entity, the consultation earlier done with all stakeholders is now limited only with the MEA. In intra-company business, which is especially relevant for outsourcing of the work done by defense-related parent company abroad to its subsidiary in India, the earlier requirement of getting end-user certificate, that is EUC, from the government of importing country has been done away with, and buying company is authorized to issue the EUC. The requirement of the government-signed EUC in cases of providing engineering services, that is TOT related to munition list, to Wassenaar arrangement countries has been dispensed with. Among other steps, a separate cell has been formed in the Department of Defense Production to coordinate and follow up on export-related action, including inquiries received from various countries, sharing the leads with private sector and the public sector companies, and facilitate the exports. For The Print, this is Snehesh Alex Philip. Do subscribe to our Print YouTube channel for more such videos.